Good afternoon, and welcome to the Voice of Wisdom. With over 60 years of experience as an investment banker, entrepreneur, venture capitalist, securities analyst, and advisor, Morty Davis is a Wall Street legend. In addition, Mr. Davis is an outstanding economist and highly articulate, incisive, and very entertaining political analyst and strategist. He's Wall Street and capitalism personified. The over 400 companies for which he has raised more than $3 billion over the years have created a countless number of jobs and exciting new products. Through the Voice of Wisdom, Mr. Davis explores, analyzes, and debates the most topical economic and social issues facing our world today. Joining Mr. Davis today for a discussion on the news making the headlines is Len Carter. Len is an investment banker, business consultant, and private investor. And now, Mr. Davis and Mr. Carter.
Welcome back. It's Wednesday, 6:30 again, and I'm together with you, my favorite people, my cohorts in this podcast. You contribute a great deal without realizing it, because the comments you send me, even those that seem sometimes excessively critical, are very helpful in my growing thinking about what you say and broadening my views and accepting new insights and so forth. So keep up the good work. You're phenomenal. I love you all, and if there's anything I could ever do to help you, to improve your life, your contentment, I'll do anything, because more than the specific podcast, you mean so much to me that just like I want to make my children's life happier, not only for a day or a week, but forever until eternity, I want to do the same for you. And that was the reason I wrote this book, because discovering the power of positive thinking changed my life. I used to have depression and be pessimistic about the world and about life and all the tragedies and difficulties and disappointments from failures and low expectations, until I ran into a book by a famous Catholic bishop who ran a church in mid-Manhattan. His name was Norman Vincent Peale, called The Power of Positive Thinking. And all his great insight was very simple, one sentence. If you think positively, you feel good. While you think positively, it has a positive impact, and positive, good things happen to you. And if you're pessimistic and downtrodden, and you let disappointments and tragedies and all the things that can go wrong in life, failures, get to you, you can get into such a rut that it's impossible to achieve any happiness, much less to be successful at any of your endeavors or to be a worthwhile friend to anybody, because your mood is always sour. So that book changed my life. That book, and a book by Dale Carnegie, who was a brilliant writer on human relations. He wrote a book that was fantastic called How to Win Friends and Influence People. How to make friends, how to be a better friend, how to be a great salesperson. Just phenomenal book. And Bishop Sheen, by being positive, pointed out And I found it to be true that you feel good when you start to think positively, you become more optimistic, and indeed, positive things do happen. So as a consequence of that experience that changed my life, not for a day or a week or a year, but forever, that was what motivated me and inspired me to write this book, because I started to gather all the wisdom, all the information by all the brilliant people, psychologists, religionists, information that came out of the Bible, the Torah, the various religions that instruct how to be more positive about life. All of the most brilliant thinkers, psychologists throughout the ages, including the original biblical scholars that told us everything that was in the Bible, that gave us encouragement and taught us to lead a contented life. I use contented again instead of happy life, because in this country, as I've stated in the past, happiness seems to be when several people are gathered together, and they're banging each other on the back and laughing, and they're in another state because they're sort of drugged by like a dozen beers or a shot of, or more than a shot, a bottle of vodka or scotch, or and that seems like real happiness. You never see anybody that happy normally, but it's illusionary, because as soon as that effect wears off, inevitably the next morning they have headaches, and even the same evening they start having their food come up, they regurgitate, they vomit. It's not real happiness. It's a momentary good feeling, very momentary. Believe me, I never met anybody who was drunk it lasted more than the period that the drug was still impacting them, or the liquor, or the beers, or whatever that made them high. So I'm talking about real contentment, happiness. And since it changed me, the knowledge that these brilliant, insightful, wise men and women over the centuries since the beginning of civilization conveyed, including the Greeks and the Romans and the throughout the ages, whether it was Plato and Socrates and the Greeks, or Freud in Germany, who invented or created the wisdom that came from psychology. I can't even list all of them, but they're all in here, because that's why I spent the next part of my life and started to write this. It took me 12 years to write, and I was still writing and researching other sources. When one day my number 2 daughter, who's written several books herself on these themes, came to me and said, "Daddy, I read it. It's phenomenal. What you wrote is phenomenal. What you captured is so worthwhile. Even though I write positive things along the same lines, I could never get all that you captured in this book. So for 12 years I was writing and still writing. And she said, Dad, stop writing and publish it because it's a gift to the world. And so I said I want to do just a little more. Each time I thought I could add something useful. And within 3 months or 6 months, I always found something that was, in my mind, brilliant and helpful. But she came along and said, publish it. So I said, I'll try to finish. And I kept on working on it. So she joined me, and that's why I put her down as a co-author, because for 2 years beyond that, she helped me finish the book and capture a lot of other good ideas. So I think you will find it, as everybody who contacted me since the book was issued and published has written to me, that it's been enormously beneficial to them, uplifting to them, inspirational to them. Can't even think of all the adjectives that they say it provided for them, just coming across this book and buying it or getting it as a gift. So I'm so positive from all the feedback I've gotten that you will surely benefit, not only from the great insights, the wisdom, but also the jokes and the humor and the anecdotes and the stories that are, as I say, inspirational and lead to a more contented life, not one where you're momentarily enjoying a high, but one that brings useful feelings, uplifting feelings every day of your life, perpetually until eternity, I hope. So that's the reason for this book, and I'm so confident you will benefit and enjoy it that I have made an offer better than any offer for any supplement or drug that even the best offers on TV or radio make, where if you say you didn't benefit, they will refund your purchase price, and you can even keep the product. I do one better. I say, if you send me your purchase slip and say you didn't benefit, even if you're lying, or just to get your money back, I will pay you not only what you paid for it, but double what you paid for it. So that in itself should make you happy. And you can keep the book and benefit from it anyway. So it's a no-brainer. So as soon as possible, don't leave the podcast, because I need your wisdom, your cohort behavior. But as soon as the program ends, run out. Don't walk out. Don't wait and say, I'll do it later or tomorrow. Run out and get the book and begin this new adventure in your life towards fulfillment, uplifting, contentment, inspiration, whatever you call it, whatever your dream is, to have a more contented life, not a momentary thrill that makes you laugh and feel good, and then you pay the consequences with the hangover and the pain in your stomach, or you're upset. What was it? You vomit, and all the things that make you unhappy for the momentary uplifting that it gives you, that hardly lasts. So you can't get a better deal than that. And even if you got it as a gift, ask the person that gifted it to you if he could give you the purchase slip or give you a copy of the purchase slip and send it to me, and I will refund double what the purchase price is, and you can retain the book and get the benefit. So I don't know how to give you a better deal. That in itself should make you happy, because you're doubling your money, or you're doubling the price that even the person that gave it to you, and you didn't pay anything for it. It's a no-brainer. And all the time I've made this offer, and it's been out there for a year now, I haven't had one taker. I've had lots of people compliment me and praise me, and people that have given it as gifts saying it's the best gift I ever gave, because most people, this is from one guy who was head of a corporation that has thousands of clients and customers, and sends it to the top customers and top clients. And he says, I send out at least 1,000 gifts every year. And I'm happy if I even get notice of it. Immediately after they get it, many of them say, thank you, that was a nice thing to do it. Most of them don't even remember after the first week where they got the gift, what it's all about, failed to even pick it up. And with this book, they tell me that people are calling them months after they get the gift and tell them how it's made a difference in their life. It's a gift that keeps on giving them returns in gratification from those that receive it. So try it and see. And worst case, you double your money and you can keep the book. So just one thing, do me a favor, don't buy 40 books and get 40 times your money back. Double your money back. So, as I say, don't run out now, because I want you to get whatever benefit you might from the wisdom we bring you every week on this podcast. Even though, as I mentioned to you, because we cover the news of the week, which tends to make the headlines and the breaking news interruptions to your programs, or the headlines in your magazine, monthly magazine, or daily newspaper front page, because they're so dramatic. But inevitably, because good news is never that exciting. Somebody gave $50 million to a university to help students pay for their scholarships, just as I've done in many cases to students that's studying medicine and becoming doctors. I fund their scholarships, because the school that doesn't have scholarships available for them, even though they have the grades and everything. So I provided a fund, a scholarship fund, that provides it. And for years now, I've been getting letters from them thanking me, these students that benefited from these scholarships, telling me they couldn't have gone for this degree in medicine and become doctors, and even one somehow out there that are top medical, I guess, medical doctors or medical specialists send me notes that they're nationally recognized, that as a result of my funding their ability to attend and pay for their schooling, the scholarships that I provided, they were able to achieve these great honors and the ability to help so many people. And there's nothing I find more gratifying than all the money I've ever spent, including yachts that I might have bought in some instances and found after a short while the thrill of owning them was very exciting, but more of a headache. And all, as the Pirkei Avos teaches us, that's the wisdom of our forefathers. It's one of the Hebrew commentaries on the Torah. And it says, the more possessions, the more anxieties. If you own a business, you think you're so lucky, you're making a lot of money. But all of my employees, my top employees, if they go on vacation, I make sure not to bother them because they work hard, effectively, and relentlessly, dedicatingly while they're at work. So I try not to bother them, except for the most radical, pressing emergency. But me, as the boss, as the owner of the company, I go away by the time I land in California from a trip from New York, where my offices are and my home is. I have 40 calls waiting from all of my top people. You got to give me an answer on this. We're pressed for a major client is looking for this, and if there's a breakout of a war or anything in the world affects the stock market and gets people to panic, and we get urgent calls and demands to sell all their positions, and it's unbelievable. So my vacations are literally ruined by the fact that they're not vacations. As I say, by the time I land, 8 hours later or something, in California, I have 40 calls waiting. So that's the benefit of being the owner. Or if you own a building and you rent it and the boiler explodes and you own a building, the tenant calls you up and is on the phone ringing the phone all day. I don't answer the phone on the Sabbath, Saturday. The phone doesn't stop ringing. I pick it up right after the Sabbath, and the tenant that's renting it screams at me and yells, and I've been calling you all day, and the boiler blew up, and it's whatever, some emergency, and it's my headache. I wish I was the tenant. So possessions, even my friends that own private jets always tell me it's great to own because you don't have to go through security at the airport and so forth. But they have to provide food and drinks for the pilots and for the guests that are flying with them. And then they have to provide accommodations for their stewardesses or pilots or co-pilots. to sleep over wherever going. So it comes with lots of duties and obligations. At least when you fly and you pay for the flight, all you got to do is agree to be there and get on a plane, and it's all taken care of for you. So having a lot of ownership has a lot of burdens. So that wisdom, the more possessions, the more anxieties. A lot of times I used to wish I was just a cab driver and parked the cab at night and was finished for the day, not to worry about what wars are breaking out, what bad news might be forthcoming, or anything that affects the stock market, and everything affects the stock market. So it's a 24-hour, 7-day a week. I have to be on call, on duty. Whereas when you park your cab and you're through for the day, you may take a lot of crap from your riders or whoever's in the cab, but when you park, you're finished for the day. So don't envy anybody that have his own plane or his own yacht or all the things that we tend to envy. When I was poor, I had that same feeling. If only I could have my own plane, or all my classmates from Harvard Business School, when they became as successful as I did, within 10 years of finishing my master's degree at Harvard Business School, I could buy a yacht, I could buy a private jet. Every one of them practically did that. They bought, and they weren't nearly as successful as I was 10 years out. But they all had their own private jets, their own yacht, their own estates in the Hamptons. A lot of them had their own mansions in Ireland or Scotland or in the Caribbeans. Just without exception, that's what they did. I found it much more rewarding to give charity and see the results of the charity and get the gratification, the sincere gratification, and indeed love and perennial thanks, not only 1 year or 2 years, but even when they became medical genius specialists and won all kind of awards, they sent me their notes that they couldn't have done it without my financing their education. Much more rewarding than any yacht or airplane or so. There's no need to envy anybody as long as you're in a position to help others and do good deeds. I never got more thrill or appreciation or saw more happiness than when I happened to come across a blind lady that was waiting to cross a busy traffic intersection, or crossing, and she's waiting. Every time she puts one foot in the crosswalk, a car almost runs her down. So I walked up to her and I said, "Can I help you cross?" And she said, "Please do." And when I got to the other side, she thanked me with such genuine enthusiasm and indeed love. Nothing equals that. There's no amount of money that I could ever spend that gave me that kind of payback. So I found out the real joy is doing wonderful things for other human beings. And the more it helps them, regardless of whether it costs a ton, helping that old lady who was blind cost me nothing, maybe a few minutes out of my rush to get somewhere. And I remember it till this day. More than once I've done that, and I've found that I never got such genuine appreciation and love from a single deed. So you have the capacity, if you're the poorest person, to do nice things for others that will impact their lives and give you real joy. So anyway, without further ado, I'm saying I gave you some ideas here, just one or two ideas that can add to your, not happiness as we know it in this country, where everybody's on a high and banging each other on the back and laughing and seem to be happy, but are going to pay the consequences in a few hours or the next morning when they wake up with a terrible hangover or the cramps from or throwing up from what they enjoyed highs. So you don't need to be rich to do wonderful things for other people and to get the benefit of that. So do that. Without further ado, we'll get on to the week's devastating news.
Okay. Thank you, Morty.
Because the news is always devastating.
Yes. Thank you, Morty. Good to be here. So, you know, we've been discussing a lot of issues that are outside the U.S., and I was just thinking we're sort of making our way around the globe. We did Venezuela, we did Greenland, and now we're going to make it to the Middle East today, talking about a part of the world that
I don't think we did Iran.
That's what we're going to be on today. So
okay.
we're making our rounds around the globe, from South America to North America.
Sure, we hardly touched on even half of the.
Yes. But so we've spoken a lot about the Middle East. It's an important topic. It's an important area in the world, and from which has been a lot of conflict over the centuries. And so what we have seen this year, following some devastating attacks on Iran by Israel, and then the U.S. destroying their nuclear facilities with the bombers earlier this year.
This very week, the Iranians are killing their own people.
Yes, so that's what I think we've now started to see from a lot of the sanctions and economic turmoil that's been stirring in the country,
right.
Huge inflation. And when that happens, people start to get upset. And, there's only so much, I think, that government and even totalitarian governments can do to tell their people it's not so bad, or don't protest. Don't tell us it's bad. Just suck it up.
Yeah.
And so
the news is so bad and so depressing. I'm even crying.
So what we've seen happening is a series of protests and the brewings of some uprisings and
mass killing.
Yes, and so
by the regime itself,
in order to keep the protests from really erupting, cracking down on the dissidents and on the protesters. So President Trump,
The regime is killing its own citizens.
Yep. So President Trump, who's been watching this, has said he wants to help those Iranian protesters. So what do you think? What do you think he would mean by that, and what do you think the U.S. could do to help the protesters? What would be a way that you think would be a good thing, a good way to help them?
I can't think of a good way or an effective way to help them. And I'm amazed that he doesn't go after Iran, which is the troublemaker, the major troublemaker of all of the problems of the Middle East. They back the Houthis, the Hamas. They provide arms to all of Israel's enemies. They announce the hatred of the U.S. and they hope that they can destroy the Western values. So why would he go after those people when Iran is the biggest troublemaker, the head of the snake that's creating all this, suddenly has a rude awakening that some of these people, some of the countrymen of the, what's his name, of the
Ayatollah?
Of the Ayatollah is killing.
So do you think that there's a way that that the regime could be sort of internally toppled without, the U.S., say, intervening directly?
The minute that they intervene, it serves the Ayatollah's purpose. He says, see, the foreign countries are attacking us. Mm-hmm. They're jealous of us. Mm-hmm. I don't know to this day why he hasn't responded to the terrible behavior of Iran. He did partially, him and Israel, one day recently to get rid of their atomic development.
Earlier this year, right.
Their nuclear weapons.
Right.
But I don't know, they bomb our ships. The Houthis bomb American ships through Syria, through Lebanon, through every Middle Eastern country, through the Yemen. It's all inspired, sponsored by, paid for, armed by Iran. Why all of a sudden does he awaken?
So you don't think it'll happen by itself? Like if there seems to be a brewing of this uprising, like there was in '79 when the Islamic Revolution occurred and Ayatollah was put in power.
Yeah, but
so do you think that could happen again?
Jimmy Carter sent a measly, I don't know, maybe 50, if that, American troops there. They broke down in the desert, never even got to Iran. And that was the only resistance we demonstrated, instead of helping to dislodge the Ayatollah.
So you don't think there's any way to dislodge the Ayatollah other than, like, would that include boots on the ground? Could you do it? Could you do it from the air without putting troops there? You think you have to put troops? Send in.
Not only that, the American posture now is we don't want any more wars. Mm-hmm. But when you see that they're attacking our ships, they actually killed some of our own military personnel that are stationed in that part of the country.
What do you think about this idea that the administration has floated a 25% tariff on any country doing business with Iran in order to, try to choke off more economic support?
I don't think we could make any worse off economically than they are now. The currency is worth nothing. Their international trade.
Well, but they're selling oil on the black market, right? To China.
We already have sanctions against.
No, but Trump wants to put sanctions on the buyers of that oil, not just on Iran, but on the buyers of the oil. So that would be, say, China. So do you think tariffing China 25% without
the tariffs haven't? China's doing more business than ever since we put the tariffs on them. They just changed.
You don't think the tariffs would be an effective weapon? Because Trump likes to use tariffs as a weapon.
I know that it hasn't. And we have all kind of sanctions against Iran that's demolished their economy, and it hasn't helped one iota. But certainly it hasn't hurt China, because their reporting shows that their GDP has grown even after all the tariffs, and they were hit the hardest. Not only that, we've hurt ourselves because we can't get some of the products that only they have, and we need desperately for our technology, for AI.
So who would be, if the U.S. went in with military support, who would be responsible for the reconstruction? Who would pay for the reconstruction?
Well, it's the same as what's happening in Hamas. That's the same issue. I say all the time, we go in, we did like we did with the Japanese and Germany. We get them to suffer unconditional, what was it called? Surrender. And we went in and took over the country. And then we don't have to worry who's going to run what.
Who pays for the reconstruction, though? The U.S.? Who pays when things get blown up and destroyed during the war, there would be some war if the U.S. went in.
Yeah.
Who pays to have that all rebuilt?
I'd rather pay for that than pay for war that's endless.
So the U.S. would pay?
Yeah. We pay for enormous defense spending. Nobody pays us back.
What about the argument some people make that what comes next could be worse?
That's ridiculous. If it's so terrible, nothing is worse, especially if you take the position that I just did. We put in Douglas MacArthur to run the country for 8 years before there was any election, not like we did in Iraq. Right after we win the war, we pull out and we let them elect their own people.
So you'd have an occupation for as long as it takes,
right? And
then what? And then set up free elections?
Yeah, like we did in Japan and Germany.
And then what happens if the free elections elect, another, Islamic extremist as the government?
Well, if they have a candidate that fits that description, we won't let them run.
That wouldn't be a free election then?
I don't care, free or non-free. We didn't have a free election. MacArthur wasn't elected.
No, but afterwards, when the elections after MacArthur.
We have to be convinced that the country was moved away from that earlier attitude. So we'll take it over, and we won't let anybody take over under free election that reverts to the same behavior as before.
I would say that's not exactly free elections, but...
I don't care what you call it. I don't want to reward them with free elections.
I'm pointing out the problem in what you're saying, is that
We
you're saying we should have free elections at some point.
We didn't have the problem in Japan or Germany. Once you take charge, that can't happen. You don't let it happen.
But how do you not let free elections happen then?
You see who they have up as candidate.
If you don't like them, you don't let them.
You cancel the election.
Right. That's not.
They're not ready.
Call free elections.
I don't care.
All right.
I don't want. I don't have to call it what they like. I don't want free elections.
Okay,
I want elections that replace the values that they had that attacked us. I don't want to get stuck on the words that make other people happy. I only care about the. Look, we asked after we beat Iraq and immediately put in their own elected officials. Then we said, because we have our soldiers in Iraq, if our Americans that are stationed there commit a crime, they should be judged under American jurisprudence, under American law. And they said no. We took over the country, and then we let them do whatever they want. That's not a win. What did we win? You win by what we want to do with Hamas. Take over and put in a new regime that's totally different than the one. If it looks like it's going to be worse than before, you don't let them continue to serve. We do what we did with MacArthur and with Germany. Germany didn't have elections for 8 years after. MacArthur ran it for 8 years without elections. We didn't worry about
putting aside.
We didn't worry that people say, "Oh, you're a bad guy. You didn't."
Putting aside what you think should be done, what do you think will happen? Do you think that the administration will take a more military approach, or do you think they'll continue to sort of hope that the thing topples itself? What do you think would happen? Not what should happen. What do you think will happen? Right or wrong?
I think
so far he hasn't really.
I think what will happen is exactly what's happening now. The Ayatollah will be there for a long time.
Mm-hmm. You don't think it'll topple internally?
Why would it topple?
I don't know. I mean,
the economy is terrible. The people are rebelling against that.
Because there are more people than there are police. So eventually there could be an uprising. You know, I don't know. It's happened.
They have an uprising, but they don't have the police are away.
How did Pahlavi get overthrown in 1979?
Well,
he had a police regime.
It was a major revolution.
So
but the people agreed with it. But here,
right. So maybe eventually enough people will agree with that and topple the Ayatollah.
It's not happening.
Not yet. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying what's going to happen tomorrow. I'm thinking, what do you think will happen in 6 months?
He's firmly in charge. He's not going to like the Shah.
So far,
he's not going to let it get off the ground.
That could be.
They have the what's the group called? Their
Revolutionary Guard.
Yeah.
Could
They're
be.
very powerful.
We'll see. All right. Well, we're out of time. So
we're out of time already.
Yes, that was an interesting.
I thought by the time we finished, we'd get rid of the Ayatollah.
Yeah, that would be a very long discussion.
But it shows you how bull this American view is. Strength, peace through strength. If you don't use the strength, you don't get peace. It may cause people to hesitate, but so far we've been in more wars than ever before, and we're stronger than ever before.
All right. Well, thank you again. It's been a
pleasure
as always.
It's great being with you again. Have a wonderful week. I love you all. Let me know if I could do anything to help you be happier. That's my goal. So God bless you. Every day of your life should be better than the day before, perpetually until eternity. Bye.